Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and I am here by myself for this video. Sorry, but you just get me this time. And today we're going to talk about how Goosebumps author R.L. Stine is now editing his books too, to be more sensitive, to change mental health and weight and ethnicity references and things. And the difference between this and like what we saw with Roald Dahl is the fact that R.L. Stine is choosing to edit the books. So it's not the same thing as when somebody's already gone, the books are being edited without their permission. In his case, he's choosing to do so. So we're going to take a look at that. But before we get into it any further, please like and subscribe. I think we're at 297,000. I didn't check today, but I think it's somewhere in there. So if you could give us a like or hit the subscribe button, we would appreciate it. We're trying to get to 300,000. I forgot to do the woohoo, so yay, woohoo. And moving on. Okay, so everybody's reporting about this and talking about it now. But Goosebumps author R.L. Stine, every time I say Goosebumps, I want to go Goosebumps. Was it Goosebumps or whatever she said? He is choosing to edit the books. Now, some of the choices I'm seeing being made, I can kind of understand why he chooses to change them. They aren't like calling, fat person enormous, which to me, or saying, to me that's worse, It's not like that. There are some changes they're making I think actually make sense. And since he's choosing to make the changes, it's a different story because it's his own work. You can go back and change your own work. No one's changing it for it and saying fix your shit. So, according to Deadline, he's going back to change his mental health, weight, and ethnicity references in his work. He's looking at his popular Goosebumps book series and making edits to the published work with a more inclusive language. It's from Scholastic, and Scholastic is doing this because heaven forbid, Penguin Random House, beats them on this one. So Scholastic is probably pushing it as well. Having worked around people with Scholastic, it doesn't surprise me at all if Scholastic will be pushing for this as well. So I'm not sure if Stine hired sensitivity readers or he's just making the choices himself. Most likely he has people, helping to guide him, in quotes, to the problems. So they said the difference with this is that, Goosebumps are the original authors making the changes. They link to an article on the Times, which it has, I guess, more of the information on here. They said that the books have sold more than 300 million copies. It's the second biggest bookseller series after Harry Potter, which Harry Potter we know is in trouble. And we're going to talk about that book series in another video because it's coming up again in the news, unrelated to Hogwarts Legacy. So they're the second biggest book for kids ever. We have had a couple movies of it. There was TV shows. My kids used to watch the TV shows all the time. I have to admit, it's kind of funny to me that they're going to edit these books for sensitivity when they write books that are kind of horror books for children. So to me, that kind of does not it's kind of ironic, because they're trying to scare kids or, influence kids. And now they're like, but we're going to take that back. So I think that's kind of funny. I find that amusing. So they're saying that they're going to include more than 100 edits to the books, such as a character being described as cheerful rather than plump. Wait. You're cheerful than plump. That's not even the same thing. You can't be fat. You can only be cheerful. Well, hot damn, I am a very cheery person. I am the most cheerful person there is, according to the way you can't say plump anymore. So you can't be fat. You can only be happy. But what if you're heavy but you're not happy? What if you're not cheerful? What if it's not the same thing? You can't be miserable instead of plump. No, it's cheerful. References to villains making victims slaves have been removed and crazy has been changed to silly. Okay, I kind of can see those. I kind of can see that. Depending on the circumstances of the book. Because the term slaves does not only apply to historical things that happen in the United States. It's been an ongoing issue. It is still an issue. What gets me about this whole thing is they will take it out of the books. Meanwhile, children are being kidnapped and sold, and women are being sold into, basic slavery, like, with either work or sex trades. And that's an ongoing issue. And people like don't even think twice about that. But you better not say the word slave because, 150 years ago that happened and people are still mad about it. I just think that's kind of interesting. I mean, I love how people just pretend that current issues don't exist because all that matters is the ridiculous things that happened 150 years ago that no one thinks was okay. Anyway, we'll continue. They said one story about aliens abducting large people and eating them. A character described as having at least 6 chins is now at least 6'6". I can't. Okay, wait. Okay. Some of these guys, some of these are just dumb. I'm sorry. Some of them are just dumb. You're not allowed to be fat. So as a cheerful person, that's tall, I guess now. You're no longer a fat person with 6 chins. You're a plump person with 6 chins. You are a cheerful person that's 6'6". Yeah. Another book has removed a reference to wolf whistling, while another character has been stripped of descriptors such as resembling a bowling ball and having squirrel cheeks. Basically, wait. So as somebody who's heavier, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are like me that are heavier, basically they're erasing any reference to people being overweight. Now, I get it if they're trying to be like, well, we don't want to take any negative connotations away. So, like, you were trying to make it sound like, calling them a bowling ball was offensive. So let's try to call them something else. But what are you going to call them? Because they're still chunky. You're just not calling them a bowling ball. Or someone might have, chubby cheeks and you're not allowed to say that. So basically, in a way, isn't it kind of worse because now you're just erasing fat people completely? Like, in the name of helping them, you're erasing the representation completely. And I understand some of this representation is not good representation. I get that. Okay, I understand that. But it just seems like you're not allowed to say somebody is heavy, somebody is plump. Plump, you can't even say plump. That's not even really offensive. Like, oh, they're plump or they're, chunky, chubby. You're not allowed to say that. That's not at least endearing and cute. Now it's like, you're just happy. I don't get it. In one of the novels, a character wearing a Halloween costume and dressed as a dark and stormy night no longer wears blackface paint. So wait, a character is dressed as a dark and stormy night and they no longer wear blackface paint. Side story, talking about characters. I was appreciating how being dressed as a dark and stormy night is kind of funny for Halloween. And I got to tell you about Squid King here for a minute because that boy has had some very unique Halloween costumes that he's come up with. He has never done blackface because I wouldn't have allowed him to. I mean, I was going to be honest here. I wouldn't have allowed him to. He has worn the black mask things, though, to blend in under a costume, but he has never done blackface. Some of the costumes he has come up with, over the years. And these are all him. Completely his idea. One year, he dressed as... It was like a burger costume with a ski mask with yellow and red paint splattered across it because he was the cholesterol killer. Okay, he was like dressed as a cholesterol killer, ketchup and mustard for blood. Okay, another year he decided, and this one I don't understand. He wanted to be a chair with a British accent. So I made him a costume out of cardboard, which is a chair, and he basically stuck his head through like the back of the chair and carried it, by holding on to the bottom of the chair, and walked around and just talked to people in a British accent. And when people would ask him what he was, he'd say, "I'm a chair with a British accent." And the last house we went to, the people were, I think we're just done with trick-or-treating, but they were like, "That is the best costume I've ever seen. It wins." And they dumped all their bowls of candy into our kids' bags. And we're talking like full-size candy. And they just dumped it in there. That was a good Halloween. And then another time he decided he was going to be a wall. No, I'm sorry. No, it wasn't a wall. It was graffiti. He was going to be graffiti. So to be graffiti, he had to be a wall. So I made him a costume that we took cardboard and put straps in it so he could, and his arms through it, and he could walk around with it. And we made it like it was like bricks or something. And he took paint pens around with him, and he let people write on him or draw on him on the wall costume because he was graffiti. Unfortunately, it was not long after the Trump election, so everybody thought he was the wall, and we had to explain that he was not the wall, he was graffiti. So when people got it, they loved it, and he came back and his costume had all kinds of like pictures and stuff drawn on it. So I thought that Dark and Stormy Night was an interesting costume, and I liked it, but you know, apparently it's bad because they put black paint on their face, because don't you know, you cannot use the color black ever because it might offend someone. And in that case, they weren't trying to, intent matters. In that case, they weren't trying to pretend to be black. That's what gets me. Intent matters. If your intent is to be insulting or to pretend to be a black person, yes, don't do that. That's shit. And you deserve to be slapped. If you're just doing it because part of your costume requires you to be all dressed in black and you want to be including your face, and it's about the color, that's not the same damn thing. There is a difference. Intent matters. Back to this. So the edits are part of a 2018 ebook re-release. So it's ebook. The latest example of novels being changed in an attempt to reduce offense. Okay, they talked about Roald Dahl stories, about, you know, Gus's Gloop is not fat, and the one woman wasn't ugly. She's feared, you know, because she was ugly before, and that's bad. Because, you know, heaven forbid, you know, you say something that's true. They're talking about how they're revising the James Bond novels, which I also knew, and I have not mentioned in a video. We were going to, and then we got busy. But yes, they're reissuing versions of the James Bond novels again after the person dies. That's the line. The line is that if you choose to change your work because you feel that it should be more inclusive and that you think Plump's bad and cheerful is so much better, that is your choice. I mean, I'm not going to go on him too hard because it's his choice. The problem becomes when they're taking and editing books that belong to people that have passed away. And I get the estate can decide that, but it's still an issue. I mean, here's an article from The Guardian. Yes, Roald Dahl is a bigot, but that's no excuse to rewrite his books. They're even talking here like, hey, I don't agree with the stuff that he said in his books, but they said, just to be clear, I think it's wrong to rewrite the words of an author, living or dead, without the author's permission. Writers work hard to get their sentences right. Maybe Dahl preferred the sound of enormously fat to the sound of enormous. Writers are grateful when a friend or an editor spots factual mistakes, repetitions, and typos. There's a great quote from Isaac Babel: words go into hiding on the page and you can no longer see them. And that's true as somebody who's written things. Sometimes it's good to have fresh eyes because you might not realize that you're being very repetitive. Or I edit articles all the time, and sometimes the writers don't realize I can't start every word in the same paragraph, each sentence in the same paragraph the same way. You know, that happens. So sometimes it's nice to have fresh eyes. But the idea that you should be allowed to change everybody's work just because you don't like it and they're no longer here to defend their work, that's the issue I think many people are having. Other edits they had on this for the Goosebumps was they had the Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns, which was published in 1996. They said the character was tall and good-looking with dark brown eyes and a great warm smile. Lee is African-American, and he sort of struts when he walks and acts really cool, like the rappers on the MTV videos. Now it says he is tall and good-looking with brown skin, brown eyes, and a great warm smile. He sort of struts when he walks and acts real cool. Okay, that one, you know, isn't that bad. I mean, it just took basically the MTV stuff out and saying, oh, he's African-American. You took that part out. Then they said that there's a twins in the same book that are no longer called Roly-Poly by another character. The line, all four people were very overweight. The first one, a bald man in a bulging turtleneck sweater, had at least 6 chins, has been changed to all four people were huge. Okay, at least they kept the huge in there. The first one, a bald man in a bulging turtleneck sweater, had to be at least 6'6". But instead of making them huge for fat, they're huge because they're tall. So you are not allowed to be a fat person in books anymore. Because that makes it so much better just pretend you don't exist at all. They have Boys in the Curse of Camp Cold Lake, 1997. The wolf whistled at the camp's leader. Everyone clapped when she stood up, beside Richard. One of the boys gave a loud wolf whistle. Is now everyone clapped when she stood up beside Richard. One of the boys whistled loudly. Well, that's not the same thing. Her outfit description was tight denim cutoffs and a dark blue midriff top. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sorry. So now we're taking agency away from women. It now says, so that's out of the book completely because, you can't dress that way apparently. And one of the camp's residents does not look like a little like a bowling ball or have squirrel cheeks in a new release. The I Live in Your Basement from 97. A monster order rounds a protagonist. Stine has changed. Did he really expect me to be his slave forever? Did he really expect me to do this forever? I mean, it doesn't have as much impact because that is basically the implication was that they were treating them as if they were their personal slave. Because slaves, you can't use that word ever again. So it still works. It does still work without it. And it's not that big of a deal. But here we are. They removed the word crazy across different series. Replacements include such as silly, wild, scary, lost her mind. Wait a minute. You can't say crazy, but you can say lost her mind. Isn't that basically the same thing? And stressed. The term a real nut is now a real wild one. And nutcase is weirdo. Because we don't want to offend people. So the best thing to do about mental illness is you just make it that they're silly or they're just a weirdo because they might be mentally ill, but you can't say that. No, weirdo is so much better. I mean, this is a very slippery slope, and it's a very fine line, because a lot of times when you're trying to appease certain groups of people and make things better so that their opinion is better, it doesn't necessarily mean the representation that you're giving the people in question is fair or better. It doesn't mean that's better just because you're trying to make these other people shut up and happy. Actually, in some instances, it seems to be worse, and it seems to be the easiest thing to do is just write that out completely and pretend they don't exist. And I don't agree with that either. So it is a very hard thing. However, again, this was his choice to edit the books. So they are his words, his choices. It's his work. He is allowed to make that choice. It's not the same thing as we're seeing with James Bond or the Roald Dahl books where they're changing them posthumously and saying, hey, it's this way it is because we said so. You can give a little more pass to the Goosebumps because, Stine's doing it himself. Anyway, I'm not sure what you think about this. You can comment below and let us know. Again, please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.